Hey, Roochay. So we wait for people to join in. We give them a couple of minutes to connect to the audio. So I think we begin with the introduction in the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, sure. I'm around.
Hey, Rohin, before we get started, I just had a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Uh, how old is Robak Music and what's the size of your team? Because I'm assuming you have a team that delivers everything we've been talking about over the last 3 days.
So Robak is close to 4 years old, and we have a team of about 6 to 7 people working
Super.
with us. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
No worries. All right. Hi, everyone. Please welcome Roochay Shukla, Senior Marketing Manager at Outdustry. Roochay runs the marketing and promotions in India for an ever growing client roster and has successfully executed numerous creative and collaborative projects that have led to big viral moments for international artists campaign, including Charli XCX, Lauv, Major Lazer, Diplo, Dua Lipa, Nikhil D'Souza, and many more. Um, Please join me in welcoming Roochay for today's masterclass on effective live music marketing.
Hey everyone. Thanks, Rohin, and thank you, Robak. Hope everyone is doing well, and I can't wait to dive in.
Awesome. I just wanna let the people know that me and Ruche had the privilege of working together when I was back in New York, and we were running a marketing for Petit Biscuit together. There's always so much I can learn from Ruche, and it's always a treat to have him as a panelist and do a masterclass.
And we also went to college together. Also share the same college, by the way. So we are both Berkeley grads, and yeah, so there's a solid foundation there. You can trust us with Rohin's the kind of work that he's been doing, and I have the first-hand experience of working with him. It's been amazing. Um, all right, Rohin, you want me to wait for anything, or shall we kick off?
I think we're good to go, man.
Yeah. All right. Okay, great. So hi again. I want to make it as interactive as possible. I want to make it like as fun as possible. Um, you want to have in earphones or headphones, whatever. We're going to listen to some good music. We're going to watch some good stuff. Uh, any questions that you have, make a note of it, pop it into the chat, or ask me at the end also. No problem at all. But just, yeah, overall, please don't hesitate to like bring anything and everything, because I would want to learn as much from each one of you as well. So I'm really looking forward to understanding. Um, just a quick question: how many artists in here, like actual artists? You can just raise your hands as well. That's fine. All right, that's almost close to 30%, 40%. Okay. Um, 50%. Okay. Majority of them are artists, which I'm assuming. Remaining, are you the remaining lot? Is it managers? Is it the remaining lot of managers, or let's call managers slash marketeers, right? You could be marketing an artist or a song or anywhere. Are there any managers here?
So I'm not a hi. My name is Meghna.
I mean,
Thank you for doing this with us today. So I'm not. I just got into music marketing as an intern, but I'm a music composer.
okay.
But I don't release my own independent music, which is why I said I didn't raise my hand when you asked for an
Yeah,
artist.
you should raise your hand in the artistry bit as well, because I think you very much make a part of that list. And there are people like us then who will then start making noise about people like you, which is the need of the hour. So yeah, I'm going to put you in the first cohort. Yeah, but thank you, Meghna, for bringing that up. And we have the manager Rohan here. Okay, sounds good. Great. This gives me a context, right? This is what we want to go as takeaways from at the end of the session. I want each one to like start thinking so that I can also bulletproof and like localize these stuff. Um, Let me share my screen so that we have a further context of what we are going to run into today. Um, I believe you can see my screen now, right now, guys. Is
Yes,
this
yes.
visible?
Yes.
Okay. This is one of my most favorite parts of the picture, where this is how India is right now. It's so inviting. But in its roots, it is still very deep rooted into the fact that we are still going very regional, very Bollywood, very local in its own capacity. And this is what even the internationals are embracing in a big way, right? So this is just for the context of the vibrancy of our market. Who we are, quick introduction. Obviously, Rohin already gave a quick intro about myself, but as a company, Outdustry, we are a market leading sort of artist services company and rights management. What that means is that we become the on ground partners for a lot of these international artists in India and China. So we are primarily in China and India. Some of the work that we have done with usually are with some of the top tier artists, including people from Warner or M Theory or Believe or AWOL. In India specifically, obviously, Alan Walker, Lauv, Dua, Jungle, there's been one of our core case studies of the market. For the context today, this is how we have broken down. We'll look at a big picture. We'll try and understand where live music is heading at the moment very quickly. We will also look at certain segments of what India is consuming at the moment. What is the next big live hub? We'll also go through some sponsorship breakthroughs. We'll also go through some challenges. And then we'll dive into the fun part, which is the live music marketing part. And that I have literally broken down into the sort of the three parts that you see here. Um, Not to forget, there is always a good impact that you need to measure at the end of the campaign for everything, right? You're making music for something. It could be for money, it could be for satisfaction, and there's the impact that's most important. So let's kick off. Big picture, right? If you look at right now, and this is from the last 2 years, what is India's big Indian music scene looking like, right? Your large chunk still till date is dominated by three parts, which is hip hop. Um, in terms of the live scene, you still see those pockets having a lot of hip hop festivals and hip hop IPs being made, like your Breezer Vivid Shuffle, and you have your MTV hustles and etc. So hip hop is still big into the live space. Pop obviously dominates in its own way because that's the most sort of mass friendly sound that's India is, and everybody's right now, if you know, is talking about the I-pop, which is the Indian pop sound, which is back after the whole 90s and 2000s. So you have a really good, coming back of age moment. Electronic obviously is like a very, very, very interesting scenario where everywhere else in the world, electronic has kind of transitioned into more like a deep house and techno. But here, electronic still does its own mainstream sort of EDM and other electronic sounds too. Just because of the nature of melody and how India is very heavy on melody. You look at new releases into album and EPs, you still find maximum EPs and album being dropped in hip hop and electronic. It's just the nature of sound. Hip hop music constantly goes from one sound to another very quickly, because the audience constantly wants to narrate stories and hear stories. Whereas you look at other sounds like pop and electronic, they're still like consistently going there. Audiences, obviously, it's still very, very male dominated heavy in terms of the live indie music scene. But the female proportion is increasing, my feeling is that this will really increase in a huge 50% proportion by next year as well, or in fact, as soon as the October season kicks in for us, which is just around the corner. Some of the most programmed independent acts, right, of 2022, 23, if you look at just the top 10 numbers, um, it's very evident as to like how many festivals some of the guys are doing, and it's kind of also it's a little challenging to see that some of the big guys get to be at all the festivals. So like you have festivals like acts like Easy Wanderlings, which really top the list with 8 festivals. So you have like Anuv Jain, Bloody Wood, Peter Cat, Thakudam Bridge, the Yellow Diaries doing at seven festivals, literally, including your Lollapaloozas and NH7 Weekenders and Oddball and etc. You have your Parvaz and like Taba Shake and F16s and Till Apes, which is doing like on an average 6 festivals. You see the nature of the sound where it's going, and you see where if you want to be in that completely dominating live festival, then usually these are the singer-songwriter guys. And the sound is actually very blending into like today's scenario. It is actually language or sound agnostic. You'll still find somebody as eclectic as Peter Cat recording who does absolute English, but in a very jazz English way, but excellent live acts. And you still find people like Anuv Jain, who's like a massier sound now, but still doing it, or a Bloody Wood, which is as heavy or a hard rock that can be. So I don't think it's language agnostic or genre agnostic in a way, but I think it's still very community driven. And if you are excellent at live, automatically it uplifts your sound and presence across festivals. The next big live hub, we're talking a lot about this. I think a tier 2 segment of it has opened up in a huge way. For example, Indore is like definitely becoming one of the key cities to try and do all the more festivals around the corner for that. And there are major investments and IPs coming in from big promoters like Book My Show and Paytm, which is now obviously, if you have not heard, owned by and acquired by Zomato Live. Zomato Live is aggressively going behind it. Zomaland obviously was a huge part of it, which played into in-app, which is now overtaken by Zomato Live. But this is just a very starting level of really scratching the surface. If you look at Indore, there are other major cities coming in like Jaipur or like even Lucknow. And these will become a big part of the live festivals. In fact, for that matter, even Gujarat, Vadodara, Surat are the cities which are going to become like the key markets to really go in there. And I think this is what you should keep in mind, that if you want to really grow from there, these are the pockets to really reach out and grow, because you'll have more opportunities there. Sponsorship breakup, like, just might not be too relevant for this context of this probably session, but just to give you an idea of things that now, if you are pitching to a brand, there is 3 parts to it. The first part of it is the title sponsor, which is obviously your majority money of it. The second sponsorship is powered by, or you can say presenting sponsor or celebration sponsor or a partner are somebody that comes second to it. And the third guys are more like associate sponsors, right, with it. So interestingly, if you look at this second para, 60% of the total sponsorship comes from title sponsor, 30% comes from powered by sponsors, and 10% comes from the associate sponsors, usually at a festival. And that's how the breakup of it is. If you look at the ticketing side of things, where 5 years back, India was at 90% contribution by sponsorship and 10% by tickets, today it's at a good 70-30 ratio, where like 70-75% is sponsorship, 20 to 25% still comes from ticketing right now, which is a huge jump for the Indian economy and for the wallet share spend that a consumer is doing. And I think this is just going to keep increasing. You look at the Dua Lipa concert right now, tickets and like there are 6,000 plus on a bare minimum starting. You look at a Lollapalooza ticket, it would be like on an average 10,000, 11,000 per ticket for today. So we are talking that range. Challenges, this is where the challenging comes. Now, the festival kind of an approach, which is like your Lollapalooza, Sunburn, Supersonic, where you're going in like with a massive lineup of events. Unfortunately, if you are part of that kind of a setup uh, for a festival season, the festivals will only be able to make out money after a long-term plan of 10 years or more. So I'm not sure how much they can survive into the market unless and until you are somebody like a Lollapalooza who has 10 other entities everywhere in the world, but is coming in with a very aggressive approach of being in the market for 10 years. Then they can constantly um, invest in the market. If you are otherwise doing a multi-genre festival, it's very difficult to really sustain. Instead, you look at a 2 artist, 3 artist festival, those are the best kind of things. Examples are like BMW Joytown, which was just Chainsmokers and Diljit. That was it. Yeah, there are more chances of it making more money from it. Or like an Ed Sheeran, or like a Dua Lipa. The standalone shows will be the way to go. And then you become a part of it by being like openers to those shows. You will have a much better approach. Or like go as niche as an India Cocktail Week or a Spoken Fest. More chances of it discovering with a right target audience because the communities are going there to chill rather than a big ass sort of a multi-genre festival. um so yes, so that's about that. Effective live music marketing, now that's where where the fun part begins. I've broken it down into 3 parts, which is pre-event, on day of the event, and post. This is for all of us to really like open our minds and doors and start thinking that the live music industry is just not about selling tickets. Selling tickets will happen in its own way, and there are people other than you. If you are an artist or a manager, there is the promoter and team who are heavily going to be focused on this. But being an artist and a manager, how best to really maximize that show in terms of really increasing your presence. So this is what we do. And these are, again, just a heads up, these are various examples of top tier artists to mid tier artists. But having said that, I will also tell you how you can really adapt those strategies into like the most emerging space as well. So really think from a very wider lens and don't think from a lens of this is too big or small for you. Pre-event is a great opportunity for you to start doing the rounds before the show. I suggest at least 1.5 or 2 months before that you start doing and think about the pre-event strategies for it. This is recently from Lollapaloozas this year, where Lauv was coming back after 5 years into the market after 2019. And I think the best way to do it is why I have picked up these 3 cuttings here is that one common thing that you see across it is that he is talking about a very localized India story, and that you can see it in the headline. That is what it really capsulates the audience's attention. Similarly, if you are going into a certain territory, like in Indore, for example, and if you talk about the Indori moment, there are more chances of वहाँ का digital press and digital people to pick up on those things and really find it interesting because you are giving them a story of that city. And international guys are very, very good at this, that when they go into the markets, they make that market as like the talk of the town, and they have everything that they want to talk about to it. Also, on agencies like us, marketing agencies like us, are making sure that whenever they are in the market, they have utmost packed schedules of them doing lots of stuff on ground in keeping them busy into the market. So, for example, last time when Lauv was here in 2017, he was partying with Ed Sheeran, and when he was opening up with that, he has a lot of memories from that, and that got captured into a lot of things. Similarly, you can really make up localized stories and stitch into it. What else pre-events? Something that really we do a lot with, and we've done a lot with Alan Walker when he was our client in 2023 last year, is how he does announcements of him coming back into the market. So, all right, let's start watching some stuff, listening to some stuff, and we'll take it from there. This is about how he narrates his top 5 moments in India. But he also uses this video to announce that he's coming back into the market, which is happening next month.
This is who I am, who I am. If only I was wide awake.
You got the gist of it. If you are announcing something, it's also a great story for to tell you about something that you feel personal about that city, that country, or that place. It's just going to make it more localized and contextualized. Secondly, this is again Jonita we roped in, but this is an example of how when Flume was supposed to play at Sunburn Festival in 2019, we were doing like a really cool pre event sort of a promos. And I think the best thing that you can do is that we need to promote that one big song that you have, which people will come into your shows and buy tickets. In this case, this was for Never Be Like You, the song that is so big for Flume, even till date. And it's always best to really create versions around it and like for people to consume it. So this is one such version that was released a month before him coming in, and even in the caption, in the description, Jonathan mentioned, I'm so extremely thrilled that Love is coming back into the market. Sorry, Flume, and I can't wait to really open the doors and watch him live. But this is my version of it. So just a bit of a couple of seconds around it.
What I would do to take away this fear of being loved, allegiance to the pain. Now I'm messed up and I'm missing you. I'll never be like you. I would give anything.
That's the vibe of it, right? You are giving them a complete different flavor of a sound. The actual sound is by Flume, which is much heavy electronically, but this is a much more subtle of it. Number 3, creators is a huge space. I can't even emphasize enough how much fun and output I've received just for those create partnerships. This is one such version where, before Love, we created something like What If Love Made Bollywood songs like that.
कभी कभी आदती जिंदगी में यूं ही कोई अपना लगता है कभी कभी आदती वो बिछड़ जाए तो एक सपना लगता है ऐसे में कोई कैसे अपने आंसू को बहने से रोके और कैसे कोई सोच ले everything's gonna be okay.
Quick nuggets, quick pieces, giving you a flavor by the local face automatically uplifts like the messaging into a big way. So creative partnerships work as well in a big way. I want to give this as an example of something that probably is important to think of, which is building communities. And Lauv is still a very mid-tier artist, in my opinion. But in terms of engagement, he's an extremely engaged artist in the audience, in the market. There are other big players, like obviously you have your, Selena Gomez and Taylor Swift and the Weekends of the world. But where Lauv comes and connects to the audience and the way he does it is extremely beautiful. And this is what we understood way early in our career. So this is what we created for super fans at Geo7 in 2019, which they had no idea that they was invited for something special. So just gonna play a couple of minute.
I'm so tired of love songs, tired of love songs, tired of love songs, tired of love. Just wanna go home, wanna go home, wanna go home. Whoa.
This trip's been amazing. I've walked around and seen a lot of different parts of Mumbai.
Tired of love, just wanna go home.
And coming here to Geo7 has been really amazing.
Whoa. Party,
We love you, love. Can't wait to meet you.
party. Everybody around me.
I attended last Ed Sheeran's concert in Bombay where he opened for Ed Sheeran, and it just got me into this music, and like ever since I've just been listening to this music.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really excited to meet my fans here. I'm really excited to just get lost in the moment.
To be young and in love in New York City. Do not know who I am, but still know that I'm good as you're here with me. To be drunk and in love in New York City. Midnight into morning coffee.
That's maybe I can just keep watching on it, but yes, there's lots to cover. You see the importance of really playing those kind of intimate shows as well. So it's not just about thinking you're playing a festival or a live gig or doing a tour. It's also about how are you capitalizing by that tour and really giving back to your actual day one fans. And it does not have a number. Like in this case, there are only 20 people in this room. But those 20 people are going to be the guys who are going to be there for you throughout any music and their full career. And those are the most precious ones. One, event day. This is again like one of the most troubleshooting, challenging, the most difficult, and in one of the most heavily tense situations that it makes you enter into. But an absolute one of the most rewarding situations out there. Usually, why I've put up all of these is this is one of our big achievements during the last 6 years. But more importantly, what I want to emphasize is it's always best to really carry a group of artist friends to be a part of your set. So for example, this is a big example of how Major Lazer played this year at Supersonic in Pune. And they wanted to make sure that, they give back to the Pune community some of their own faces as well. And so what we thought was it was who other than their own local star Ritwiz to really also come in and be a part of the show. And so we hopped on to Ritwiz, and then actually Major Lazer also played Ud Gaye as a part of the set. We also got Rashmeet, just because also Rashmeet has a track that we did together, Jadi Booty, in 2021. That became a big moment. But when you're doing a show, it's not just about you. It's also about how are you really uplifting and the experience of the user out there. And then obviously, once you start climbing the ladder, there are many, many people along the way that can become a big part of it. So like how for Lauv, it was about meeting Arman Malik, and he actually got Arman onto the set to sing a song. With Flume, we got Ritwiz to meet and greet, and obviously Dua Lipa and Shah Rukh Khan, which was like a big moment in 2019. Some of the videos that really can help you think wider onto it is, let's look at this. Like there are a lot of content pieces that you can really shoot backstage. As much as front of the stage is great and it's beautiful and it's well crafted, the backstage moments are something that's raw and that's real, and that can really add a lot of the benefits to it. So for example, look at that. is going on? I need you now. Oh, I'm so tired of songs, tired of songs, tired of songs, tired of just tired of love, tired of love, tired of love. It's combining the experience of backstage to front stage is one of the most beautiful journeys of an artist that they go through. So don't just think what's happening aage. You have a big opportunity to create something on there. Obviously, as I was telling about the friends piece, when you invite your artist friends along with you, that's the time it becomes a very key, important content piece to go up as well. And it should very much go up as a content piece. So look at this, where Rashmi put up singing Jadi Buti with Diplo. Everybody
Love you. Let's make more songs.
Yes, 100%. Let's go.
bring out, it's still crafted, it's still a great audio on the background, but it still brings the realness to it. So that's what really excites us all the more. Another thing that you should really invite people onto your shows is when there are creators and influencers. I don't like using the word influencer, but just for the purpose of the understanding, it's called, I think creators are somebody who can really be your day one fans. And if they are your day one fans, then they will be the first people to really build a content around it. Make them a part of the show, make them a part of the backstage, things like that can really travel a lot more. Like, for example, here, Aksh is a huge fan of Lauv. And we got it from day one itself that he wants to do something with it. So we invited to the show for them to create a cover of it. And this video is now sitting at 2 million plus on YouTube. Have a look at it.
To be young and in love in New York City. To not know who I am, but still know that I'm good long as you're here with me. To be drunk and in love in New York City. Midnight into morning coffee. Burning through the hours talking. I like me better when I'm with you. I like me better when I'm with you.
Elements of surprise work great. Elements of surprise really works wonder. It's also about stitching what an artistry can really do to give back to the community of creators as well. And I think this kind of bridges the gap between the two. So that's that example. The third part, post-event, I think this is where you need to juice everything that happened at the show. This is where you kind of have the absolute opportunity of constantly putting out content pieces from it. And this is also where you also starting to think about the fact that it's best to invest in a really good editor. Because I think you will have a lot of dump of content pieces and it's raw footage, but like there needs to be somebody who can really stitch it up and make it pretty. Also, just a nugget, something to think about. This is an opportunity for you to really kind of showcase a song that you want to release in future, maybe an unreleased track, or something that you want to really bring back to life, a catalog track, or something that you want to just make sure you want to sample the song. For example, the first video is of Says on the Beat, a hip-hop producer that we work very closely with. He's also the guy behind Mere Gali Mein from Gully Boy, the track that really blew up. And during his performance, Supersonic, we stitched into an after movie. The track that is used here, unfortunately, we couldn't release the track later on, but this track was meant to be as a teaser to be played, and which is why it's stitched into the video. Still a great content piece for us, this audio to really rest on YouTube. So here's an example.
I don't want no tension. Last you bring your friends, bunny man feel. गाने auto tune vibe रखे natural. That feel mad real blessed. Feeling को समझे लड़की ने कभी ना दिया मुझे stress. तभी तो जब भी हो सके मैं भेजूँ एक text. दिल की बात in the studio sesh. आजा youngie I'm a dip, sorry says. 'Cause I don't wanna worry no more. I just wanna ball like the big league. I just want a nice house on the shore. I just want a big house like
Yes, I hope you guys also vibe to this track, which I feel very personally, uh, I feel very painful about the fact that in this song we couldn't release it. But yeah, someday we will. Someday we will. Also, like, yeah, similarly, your post footage of the event becomes a big part to really service it to many more digital pages. So, like this one of Arman Lauv is with Viral Bhayani and all of those Bollywood paps and digital pages that run. Dua SRK movement, obviously, many would have seen. But what I want to just tell you around this is that when you are meeting an anybody, it could be an A-lister, it could be an emerging artist, try and also create an intimate moment of really having a conversation of bringing both personalities out in a big way, which is not possible on a ground or with crowded audiences around. So this one is an intimate setup of both of them just having a conversation, and that became a big content piece. In the best interest time, I'm not really showing this, but yeah, 6 million it reached last. In fact, today it's at 8 million plus now. This is still an older thumbnail from 1 year back. But yeah, you never know, it can keep traveling in the years to come. Very relevant and interesting here is that when you are doing a live show, you also need to make sure that you're doing live shows with different versions of the song. Like, for example, we saw how people are doing it in acoustics and different remixes of it. But like, if it's a hit song, people would also want to listen to the song in a very different intimate setting. So similarly, like how for Lauv we had a super fine meetup. He chose to play it in just him and piano and just him and the keys. And that content piece became like a very, very different vibe of a piece of a song that is upbeat and usual. Just a couple of seconds of that.
To be young and in love in New York City. To not know who I am, but still know that I'm good long as you're here with me. To be drunk and in love in New York City. Midnight into morning coffee, burning through the hours talking.
It's a different setup, it's a different kind of vibe, and this becomes a different unit altogether for a YouTube video. So that's the beauty of the sound. There is an audience for every kind of sound. As much as people like the upbeat in original, you never know how many people can actually like a slowed or reverbed or a lo-fi or an acoustic version of it. That's how you can create content around it. One more very cool piece of, especially for people who are like how, yes, obviously we have the composers here as well, but people who are really producers and are in the production space, this kind of content piece, which is the second one, becomes a very cool piece to really show a credibility side of you. So we worked with this band called the Wombats from the UK, and they played Lollapalooza in last year, 2023. They created a content piece of how the Wombats crew prepared for Lollapalooza India. I won't play the full video because it's obviously 13-14 minutes long and it's very technical.
Hello, the Pulse.
What I want to
Hi,
just tell
Sennheiser.
you about
How are you?
is
We are
they
here
break it
in
down
Mumbai,
the
India,
different
for the first
instruments
ever
and the
Lollapalooza
different
to be held
setup
here.
that goes behind
Some negotiating.
the whole setup. So if they are having like a 5-piece drum kit, and if they are like having like a Sennheiser on board, projecting that, they also take you through how they are placed, certain instruments on the ground, why a drum kit is kept in the center of it or right side, why it is elevated to it, what is the reasoning behind it, why there are so many, tools that they need on ground, why there are lights and sound the way it is. It's a very targeted piece and might be boring for a lot of casual listeners, but you will be amazed that people who are really into digging the technical side of things, this could become like a great content piece for them to consume. So you should think about why it's important to cater to a much more serious audience as well, as much as catering to a targeted casual listener. That's where I'm coming from. Lastly, last but not the least, the impact side of things. I think this is where you start putting sense to why are we doing what we are doing. Especially relevant for managers and also for artists who wants to understand business sense. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that where you are climbing and what is the ripple effect of your performance. The best way to track is give yourself 3 months. The 1 month is before the show, which is the pre sort of promos. The 1 month is at the show, which is the month of the performance. And the 1 month is after the show, which is your post performance. So the way you will be amazed by to see it is there are certain songs that picks up into the market. Like for example, the first one is a screenshot of YouTube numbers, and all of these stats are from Chartmetric. So anybody who wants to dig those analytics of it, this is where it gets. There are many such tools available. We saw how Lauv's numbers on YouTube were all throughout the December, all throughout the Jan, and then 27th and 28th Jan he performed. And this is where the slight uptick starts happening. And on the 5th and sort of from the 5th of Feb all the way the 12th of Feb is when there's a sudden peak that happens. Try looking onto these numbers. This is YouTube that happened for him. It could be another one for you too. For example, Instagram is another big metric. For Instagram, this is again a screenshot from Lauv's report that we created. How India started climbing up. The green is the plus sign, which is the growth sign. How India climbed all the way from in the top 10 to number 3 and became the third most followed country on his list of Instagram. And you look at the engagement of it as well. It's like, where does your top countries lies? Sometimes you will be amazed by the fact that maybe you have started garnering an audience in Sri Lanka or Bangladesh or Nepal or anywhere else, but it's an important audience to start looking at. And obviously can't emphasize enough on the engagement part. If anything that really has an engagement of 5% or more, that means that that country and that state and that city is very heavily engaged into your music. This is still for an international artist, so I have broken down into countries. If you are a local artist, you can actually broke it down to cities as well, to go into deeper into like what are your top 5 or top 10 cities of it. Bang on time, again, big movie, just stitching it all together. We looked into the big picture of where the live industry is heading and where it is at the moment. We also looked at what the industry is going to be for the other tier 2 and 3 cities of the country, along with the sponsorship and challenges. We also broke down into the live music marketing part into the 3 parts of like the pre-event, the on the day of the event, and post-event. Obviously, there are many such things else as well into it, but this is still a wider discussion point here, and this is for you to just start thinking on the lines of that. This is how you can break it down your campaigns. And last but not the least, we saw the impact of it. thank you so much once again. Yeah, this is me, and this is just a team picture of us and the team at the Great Wall in China. For us, people who want to follow us, this is the Outdustry account is at Outdustry. I'm at Roochay, and I can open the floor for questions. But yeah, thank you again. Do we have anything in the chat or? Yes. Okay. So Meghna has a question. Won't the standalone shows be classified as concert instead of festivals? Can be, but it's very, I think it's still very open-ended. But the word concerts can be very open-ended because a concert can be a amphitheater concert as well, or a concert can be a very indoor concert as well. Whereas what I meant by standalone is like when you try and do like a complete one artist, two artist dedicated IP. And this is actually applicable across comedy as entertainment as well. Don't get me wrong, guys. But this is where shows like a dedicated show on a Zakir Khan is going to do much more than a collective show of like 5 comedians together, for example, which is like a comic stunt. Similarly, for artists, it's much better to create that one model of an artist and then give surprise elements to it. So yeah, standalone is why I refer to it in for the purpose of ease of it. Love Flume, love this version. Thank you, Rohan. That means a lot. It's what we eventually wanted to kind of achieve with it. Vishal has also shared a WhatsApp link in the chat for joining the Artist Alike community. Obviously, guys, please, if you have not, they are doing some amazing stuff out there with hosting such sessions, and I can't wait to like for you guys to be kind of experience more and more of it, and for me to be back again, hopefully sometime soon. Punya, will you talk about live music shows, festivals for budding artists? I want to get more elaborated question from Punya. Can you do that, please, Punya?
Hi. Thank you so much for so much information. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Also, I just wanted to know, I mean, how the scene is for somebody who's just starting to put out music. How do we approach, festivals? And I know, I mean, that it's a long road and, we've got to build our fan base and everything, but how does that work?
Yeah, sure. It's a great question. Great question, which is eventually where I wanted to head with this. This refer to this point as what I brought about, like bringing artists, friends together. It's so important that even at some point, artists like Taylor Swift or Lauv also started as an opening artist for somebody, right? And that's exactly the nature of it, how you want to climb it. So budding artist also needs to be seen and visible with like-minded artists together. It can happen via collaborations, yes, but maybe it's shooting the star. It's not that easy. The best way to do it is when like-minded artists just come together and like this artist can really just come and perform one song. That's the best way to really put yourself out there. We worked with this artist, Anumita, who did very cool covers on the internet, and eventually did like originals for released originals as well. But the way it started off was like just by making sure that we get her to be a part of the shows because she had a great voice and a presence. Also, we should understand one thing, that live is a whole different ball game. So when you're putting these creators or artists for a live thing, you're going to make many mistakes, many such mistakes. And often the times the question is, am I really ready to really take up the mic and the opportunity? And the answer is never. You will always be like learning something new out of a live show, adapting into it, learning from that experience, and really then implementing into a new one. And that's how it's going to be like an eventual model of it. But it's best to start as early as possible to put yourself out there in wherever opportunities that you get. It could be, as I said, for live, for niche open mic sessions at Spoken Fest, or for promoters like that who really are looking for new age talents and new age budding artists, or really start joining hands with like-minded artists and really making sure that you have that one spot to perform one song, and then you juice up the content, shoot content from it, put up on the internet, try and get 2 other shows from it. So I hope if that explains.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, sweet. Right. Yeah, so that was Punya's question. Chaitanya, yeah, man, so nice to connect again. Hyper localization, do you see that as a challenge? I think it's a great opportunity in today's time. If you are able to hyper localate, I think the sky's the limit right now, because the way I look at it is, if you are speaking to the complete hyperlocal community of it, which means that you've got into the deepest of the pockets into the country, and they are the people who anyways are deprived of such opportunities or such experiences. But if you are talking that language, um, and giving back to that community, you will instantly have the super fans in them who will be your amplifiers, as I would call it, and be the guys really spreading the word out all the more. And from that funnel, if you look at it, the funnel of hyperlocal is right at the bottom. But if you have that, it's very easy to climb into the masses from there. So in today's time, it's the opportunity here. This person is iPhone, which I don't know. I would love to know your name. Can you please deep dive into the sponsorship aspects of it, like how to pitch brand managers and how to curate yourself as an artist? We definitely need a different session for that. It's a great question. Maybe Rohin and Vishal make a note of it. One session on sponsorship and brands. But for the context of it, in whatever I can like sum it up here, is that this also can go in many ways. The pitches can go in many ways. For example, in today's time, there are very cool new age brands as well, which are running their own sort of corners in every festival. For example, Tinder is a great example. So Tinder has its own, yes, Neeraj. Okay, thank you, Neeraj. Has its own corner called Tinder's Connect Corner. And Tinder's Connect Corner at festivals is completely different from festivals. They don't care about what's happening at the main stage, but they are looking at artists who can really bring a very immersive experience after the festival, and for people to just come and sit down and do like a nice intimate set of people chit-chatting and being able to converse with the artist, but they are really like sitting into like a beanbag at that kind of a setup. So there are many such brands who are wanting to do these kind of things, and it's best to really find first. And my question would be, counter question would be, that what is that brand for you? Is that brand a brand that's really nature friendly or environment friendly? You want to make sure that you're really supporting a cause. Is that brand really who's as casual as possible, or doesn't care, like would be like as easy as like an alcohol or a soda brand, or a brand which is something that's close to your heart? Have that list of brands, and then try and find related brands that can be the first starting point. Please define immersive. Does that mean you have a No, by immersive, I mean it's just the audience and the artist feeling that they are talking to each other. That is the best kind of a setup, where you have, even if there are 20 other people with you, but you will feel involved and immersed into the sound because it's a closed setup. That could be an immersive experience of just hosting a house party at your terrace, for example, is an immersive experience. Um, so I hope I've answered Neeraj. Abhishek is raising his hand. Abhishek, yes.
Yeah, hi Ruchir. First of all, thank you for such a insightful session. A lot of points to learn from here. As an upcoming artist in the genre of English indie grunge rock, and with reference to bands like Thermal and a Quarter and Antariksh,
Yeah.
you might have heard of them. So my question was in two parts. One is that as an upcoming artist, I myself am my event manager promoter. I myself pitch to gigs, to festivals when the season is going to start in September to March. And obviously that takes a lot of bandwidth out of my day job and my own music production and my albums. And also the aspect is that I shoot my own reels and my content, which a lot of upcoming bands do.
Yeah.
At what stage you realize that this is going to be too much for me, is taking time out of my music making or my album creation and my day job. And second thing is, once you reach that point, you realize that I need to hire somebody for the same, for doing all of this, pitching to festivals, creating after show reels and stuff like that. What is the cost involved for to hire someone and pay them for being a part of your team, technically?
Yes, it's a quite a question. Lot of points in there. First of all, you're doing too many things which you shouldn't. Is my absolute frank feedback to you. Because you yourself as an artist, you yourself are trying to do so many, you're really crafting stuff, right? Yeah, your first and foremost thing is that you have a creative mind. But then you're also going into it and pitching for festivals and like pitching for like, or as a promoter, you're doing and hosting those things is a very tedious job. Is like a management job. There is a reason why there is a management, because there's a lot of back and forth, negotiation, pitching, selling, upselling yourself, which eats up your majority part. So then your mental bandwidth as an artist is going to be so exhausted that you won't be able to create where you need to focus on.
That's
So,
actually because I'm in the English scene, so it's that is also there. So day job and my music and then all of this.
and then you have a day job and then this. So it's 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 quite a superhuman to like do all of these things. Um, but I can just tell you that it's best to involve the people into the part of the process who you think would be partnering with it. Usually, if you look at any of those artists, their day one supporters and the team is usually a group of friends, a group of people who have come with the same vision and same mindset. And that always helps. If you're asking me the cost of it, man, I won't even suggest you spending on it right now. It doesn't make sense for you to spend. Instead, I think it's best to partner into something where you are providing content of you as an artist. The editor is getting benefit of receiving a content because he wants to play along with it. And then together you just have fun and create something. Right. So you just, again, you need to like find those kind of people, which is plenty on the internet, and it's right now open-ended, like you don't have to physically meet also for all of these things, right? It's important way. But start thinking on from an artist as a business perspective, from an artist as a brand perspective. And for that, you need to have certain teams. Yeah, you will not be able to have a team of like 5 people, 10 people, pehle se. But imagine what if you had one more person with you. What is that one more person can do off your plate that will ease out the process of you creating music? And that should answer.
Okay.
I hope I have somewhere.
Definitely. And so basically, I need to take help in certain aspects of this, definitely, because it's going to be too much for me right now. And are there any numbers like, at what stage I need to, look at an agency for this, or that's like not required?
You can contact Roback. Yeah, they are the right go-to guys for it. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to take up more work.
Oh.
But yeah, just I'm sure they build a community onto it. Please, I'm sure that you'll have many answers.
Thanks.
Yes, thanks, Abhishek. Kyra, I see you.
Yes. Hi, Roochay. This is Kyra.
Hello.
So my question is, as you can see that right now this is the very advantageous like right moment for all the budding artists to come up with their own music, because indie music is like in the trend, right? So I was thinking for a person who's trained in western vocals and like western singing or jazz, and but the artist is also interested in Hindi. So do you think when releasing music, should the artist work either one, or they can go with both or anything?
Do you have an example for that? Like, is there somebody who comes to your mind?
This is me.
Okay, that's it. Okay.
So I'll tell you, I'm trained in Western vocals, okay, Trinity. But I'm also like, I'm in live shows, I also do Hindi, because a lot of times, the audience would like love to listen old classics or Bollywood. So I'm like, chalo, theek hai, koi baat nahi. But at the same time, there are people who would also like to listen English. So I'm like, okay, now I'm composing music. I've composed like 4 or 5 Hindi music, which is coming. But I've also composed in English. So I was thinking, like somebody told me, like किसी एक पे focus करो ताकि audience को एक niche बन जाए आपका. So I was like, जब release करने की बात आएगी, तो should we like focus on like only if releasing English if I'm starting English, or should I only focus on Hindi when I'm starting with Hindi? So that's
Okay,
my
great.
question.
What do you enjoy more? Is it
I honestly, I'm at crossroad. I enjoy both. That is the reason I'm asking you.
fair? Fair. So that's a valid answer, right? My suggestion is
Hmm.
you can actually do both, and both are meant for very different platforms.
Oh.
And this is how we've experimented as well with a lot of other artists. For example, let me tell you, somebody like a Nikhil D'Souza, who's like a singer-songwriter and a veteran name in the Bollywood space for a long, long time, but has never really, got his due worth of spotlight in terms of his screen presence. And so when in the pandemic time, his independent music hit off the roof really big with Vaste, with Dhwani Bhanushali. That song is really big. Um, when we were releasing a new EP, the new EP was called People, and us People mein, it was a 2-track EP. So the EP was just 2 songs, People Hindi version, People English version. And if you just go and search on Spotify, you will instantly find both those versions.
Yeah, I've
You
known that.
might have seen, probably.
Yeah.
Right? And that is how you try and test the audience. We call it the A/B testing. The A/B testing is whether I like Hindi and English also, but I don't know what my audience likes. Maybe there's an audience for it. Let me put it out. You will be amazed by the fact that maybe there is an audience for both, actually. The only beauty of that is, and probably what will happen is your Hindi part will be skyrocketed and will be miles apart from the English part in terms of numbers. And that's what has happened with People as well. It's 10 times. So not necessary, it could be true for you too, but try and put out both. And just to also support that cause and support that motive, try and put out the same kind of narrative on also your socials of why you're doing this, why this means so much to you, why this Hindi and English both mean so much to you. Why is it so important for you to really make sure that you carry your classical sounds and Western sounds together with it? Is your narrative, is actually your pitch to the world. And then you keep putting stuff on the streaming platforms.
Okay. Thank you.
All the best, Karen. Thanks.
Thank you.
I love what Mithun has written, which is sticking to core competence would be the best at this. Outsourcing is rest. Obviously, yes. I'm going to heart that. Thanks, Mithun. Yeah, I think that's about it, guys. I feel, Rohin.
Yeah, I think that was great, Rucha. Thank you so much for doing this. I think all the questions were great. I feel like the community had a really good time and everyone's got a little bit more clarity. So again, really thankful for you to take out time to help independent artists. And yeah, I shall let you go now.
Thanks, Rohin, and thank you so much, everyone. I think the questions really brought me actually back on track of what I wanted to achieve here, and it was super helpful to just tie it all together. So thank you again, and I really wish each of these artists to just achieve everything that you want to, and hopefully the next time we'll have more conversations and more context around you being couple of releases down the line. So big thank you, and big huge shout out to Robak and Rohin and Vishal and Drishti for putting this together. See you next time.
Thank you guys. Bye.